Hello, y'all. It's your favorite wrestling guy on the mic again, your boy E here, and I just want to thank you guys for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have our WWE NXT review, our AEW Dynamite preview. We're also going to talk about how WWE PLEs might be heading towards Sunday nights again. A little controversial. We'll dig on into it. And then we're going to kind of segue into, Saudi Arabia. We're about a week, just about a week or a week and a half away from the king and queen of the tournaments that are going to happen in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So I kind of just want to go through some of the historical events that that WWE has done in Saudi Arabia, and just kind of how, maybe what will be better, I guess you can say, because doing research and doing analysis, looking up statistics and stuff like that, I've kind of seen a lot of holes. I saw a lot of holes, and I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like WWE kind of owes it to not just the wrestling fans, but just the country of Saudi Arabia to put on honestly, a really good show. Like, I'm not saying their shows aren't amazing or in the past and stuff like that. I'm just saying that they could have been so much better. They could have been so much better. And to kind of end it all off here, we have our wrestling top champion eliminator. Where I'm looking at all the champions, and from AEW, from New Japan Professional Wrestling, WWE, TNA, and I'm just gonna put them all in a match together. I have eight. I have eight champions, and they're going to fight it out. It's going to be elimination. We're going to determine who is the best champion representing their wrestling promotion or company, or however you want to say it. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah. So before I start the show, I'm going to ask you guys to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. It really does make a difference. Leave a positive review, and of course, we always we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions on top. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me your predictions. Tell me your opinions, your perspectives, your wants, your needs. Just unload it all to me. Give me it all. I'm your man E here. Obviously, I'm the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Been a wrestling fan my whole entire life. You want to talk about wrestling? 1010% open up to it. Absolutely. And leave a positive review, guys, here at the GSMC podcast.net sports network. We love peace, love, and positivity all the way, of course. Who doesn't? So once again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So let's go ahead and get on into our first segment. And we're going to talk about our WWE NXT review. So let's go ahead and get started. So at the beginning of the show, you see Noam Dar he was attacked. He was on the floor, and then you had Lash Legend be like, oh, it wasn't Trick. It wasn't Trick. And then it was like, dude, why you're protecting that metaphor was clearly, against Lash Legend. It's going to be interesting to kind of see how that, all works out. So that is definitely something that, NXT is kind of heading toward. And then we saw a match. We saw a match with Sol Ruca versus Izzy Dame. Obviously, you kind of have these two superstars making it to that ladder match at WWE NXT Battleground next month for a shot at the inaugural WWE NXT Women's North American Championship. Sol Ruca, love Sol Ruca. Izzy Dame, she's good. Izzy Dame, I don't know. She was just so disrespectful from the start. That was one thing that I noticed, and I was like, oh man, like if you want to hope to hold a title in the WWE, or if you just want, if you just want to not appear to be like, a jerk or whatever, like you can approach situations a little more like, a little more optimistically, maybe a little more respectfully, maybe, a little more empathetically. But ultimately, I feel like, Sol Ruca's momentum, it was unstoppable. It was unstoppable. The moment I've seen this girl and the moment that she got injured and then when she came back, I knew she was going to be a huge star. So, I know it's kind of crazy. But you can't take anything away from Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame kept the crowd on their toes the whole entire time. Ultimately, Sol Ruca, she was, it was crazy. She had the Soul Snatcher out of nowhere, which was, kind of, like an RKO. And the moment I saw it, I was like, what the hell? Like, I thought that was pretty crazy. I thought that was pretty crazy cool. And Sol got the victory. So she's the first woman to qualify as of, tonight on NXT. Well, yesterday. So next you saw, Tony and Ava. You saw, I don't know, I just like the banter. It was kind of funny how, the Tony D'Angelo, the family, you have that Italian that would like, it seems like they were like, in trouble, but they weren't really in trouble. And it just, like, it kind of seemed like it was kind of hard to just, kind of be mad at the situation because Ava at first, she was like, hey, like, what are you doing last week on, NXT? You brought your buddy, the special guest referee. Like, what the hell was up with that? And, Tony D'Angelo, he's like, whoa, 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 what are you talking about? Like, he was just such a smooth talker. And so, I thought that banter and I thought that promo was actually pretty darn cool. So, love that. Next, we saw Shayna Baszler making an appearance in NXT. And then you saw Enofe and Blade against OTM. That match was pretty good. Ultimately, didn't really live up to the hype, I feel like. But moving on, we saw Last Legend against Ivy Nile. Once again, it's a WWE Women's NXT North American Championship qualifier match for the ladder match to crown the inaugural champion. I was surprised. I honestly, I think Ivy Nile is very talented, and I thought she was going to get the victory overall. But Last Legend, she kind of surprised me. She surprised me. Because at first when I kind of did the review of this, or the preview of this, and I was like, dude, I think they're kind of heading for like a Trick Williams against Metaphor, and then Last Legend comes in, kind of helping out her man or whatever, however you want to call it. But I was wrong. I was wrong. I think Paul Levesque, Shawn Michaels, they have a vision, they have like plans for Last Legend. Obviously, former WNBA star. No surprise that her physicality, her stamina, her endurance, her determination. But mostly importantly, kind of like, I don't know, I feel like her charisma out of everything about her is just underestimated. So, it was cool to see her get the victory. She's moving on to, bigger and better things. Hopefully to that, on to that ladder match. All right, and then next we have Javon Evans. Picked up a huge victory tonight. Picked up a huge victory against Or Mensa, and of course of the Metaphor, because at first he was supposed to fight Noam Dar, but Noam Dar got laid out by who knows who. Still looking for who's the culprit, but ultimately Javon Evans, he's just impressive, man. This kid, man, this guy definitely can hang in the ring with the best of them. Definitely can make a name for himself in terms of WWE NXT. Kind of had like a wild thought. Like after the match, you saw Trick Williams come out and kind of acknowledge the young guy's talent. And then I don't know why, but I just feel like I was like, okay, that's crazy. Like, although like Javon Evans denied attacking Noam Dar, maybe it was him. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he's trying to find a way to get to Trick Williams, obviously. And the best way to make a name for yourself was to fight the main guy, the champion. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, this could be perhaps a feud kind of heading forward. Trick Williams doesn't really have like, well, obviously he has haters. If you're the WWE NXT, World Heavyweight Champion, you're gonna have haters everywhere. But I don't know, he doesn't really have that solid bad guy yet. So it's gonna be interesting to find out what or who NXT chooses to kind of fill in that role. You need a huge heel. You kind of have your major baby face and in Trick Williams in himself. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with that. So yeah. Next, we see the WWE NXT North American Championship, the men's. It's just in turmoil, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. You saw Wesley come out, and obviously Wesley should be acknowledged. He's the best North American WWE champion. Yeah, that's cool. Get it. Absolutely love it. And Obafemi came out. Love that Obafemi came out. Looked at him face to face, eye to eye. Told him that, dude. Like, I took this title. I took this title to major heights, heights that you never could. And to be honest, it's does make a lot of sense. So Wafemi has definitely put this prestigious championship on the market. Everybody wants it now. It's so hot. You have Ivar, Josh Briggs, and just many more. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy what Obafemi has done for the NXT one, the North American Championship two, and just three for his whole career. I feel like he's going to be a great he's already a great wrestler. He's in the future he's going to be probably one of the top end guys. Definitely main event material. WWE main card like Raw and SmackDown. They have a pretty good future ahead of them. If they can draft this guy. So that was pretty cool. And he said, if you want to challenge me, Wesley, for the North American Championship, this is a mountain, bro, you cannot climb. And I can't help but to agree 110%. Obafemi has been absolutely dominant in his matches. Wesley, obviously a little smaller than Josh Briggs and Ivar, and Ivar and Briggs pushed Femi to the, not to the total level or whatever, but they did well. They did very, very well. And Wesley, although he might be smaller than the rest, his charisma, his enthusiasm, and his technical wrestling and his speed, his agility, it could definitely prove dividends for a chance for him to reclaim his WWE NXT North American Championship. But ultimately, it should be interesting to find out what happened with that. So the promo ended with all four of them standing in the ring. Femi left out, and he was like, he went out of the ring, and he was like, all right, you guys decided amongst yourselves, and whoever wins gets a title shot. So yeah, so he had Ivar, he had Josh Briggs, and he had Wes Lee gonna fight in a triple threat match next week on WWE NXT. So definitely should be pretty badass for number one contendership for Obafemi's North American Championship. Absolutely love it. Absolutely can't wait. So next we saw the OC. The OC defeated Rich Holland. Rich Holland before the match was looking for a partner. Right now he's kind of buddy with Chase U right now. Thea Hale absolutely loves this guy. She trusts him with like all her heart. Do I trust Rich Holland? You know what? I feel like after all that's done, especially with NXT, I would love to see him like totally like turn heel and shit like and stuff like that, and like absolutely like like maybe slap it around and chase you a little bit, cost them a match or something. Because like I said before, Trick Williams needs that counterpart. Like what I mean, the Beatles needed the Rolling Stones, bro. You need to have good competition. Absolutely, like Tom Brady. Always had Eli Manning, and Eli Manning would always kick his ass. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Just kidding. Well, not really, because he actually really did. All you Patriot fans out there, sorry, not sorry. But moving on. So next we have Carly Bright demanding a match to fight Lola Vice. Shayna Baszler, obviously watching Lola Vice in the ring. There was a part where Lola Vice hit like a major move and she started like showboating, and Shayna Baszler was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Stop it. Like, what? And then she got rolled up, and then luckily Vice kicked out. If she did not kicked out, it would have been amazing. Shayna Baszler would have been like, dude, like you just freaking blew it, dude. You did it. You did it. I trained you from the bottom up. You lost, loser. I'm just kidding. No, maybe she wouldn't have been that much, harder. Damn, maybe I should never be a personal trainer. Imagine like or like a gym trainer be like, oh, you can't give me 5 more push-ups? What a loser. Planet Fitness is laughing at you. No, I'm just kidding. That would be terrible. That'd be terrible. So then at the end of the match, you saw Petrovic and Hart go toe-to-toe with Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler. They're going to have a tag team match next week on WWE NXT. Pretty cool. And they also showed a promo of Ridge Holland. Although they lost, he earned the respect. He earned Riley of Chase U's trust and respect. So that was pretty cool. And the main event of WWE NXT featured the NXT Heritage Cup. It was a great match. We saw the Don, Tony D'Angelo of the family, against Charlie Dempsey, the No Quarter Catch Crew. Once again, the No Quarter Catch Crew don't really hold that much credibility. I feel like they don't really hold that much like I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't even know what to think of it. It's not the same with that Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak was kind of like the balls of the group. Like he was able to talk crap. He was able to kind of put matches on. He was able to antagonize and stuff like that. And without him, they're going down. They're going down. It's kind of sad because you have 3 talented superstars, no matter what. But I don't know. Drew Gulak, they kept Drew Gulak around the WWE forever. Once went 205 Live, kind of went under, which was kind of like the Cruiserweight Championship, the Cruiserweight competitors' way of kind of showcasing your skills on 205 Live. I remember it was every that doesn't make any sense. It was every Friday after SmackDown, I believe. I think it was. I don't know why I want to say Tuesday. That's crazy. I think that's crazy talk. But ultimately, you saw, Drew Gulak out of everybody who got cut or left the company, like Mustafa Ali, T.J. Perkins. You had not Noam Dar, who's Tony Nese, And you saw, I think Cedric Alexander stayed, definitely one of the high end. Neville left, the king of the cruiserweights. And they kept Drew Gulak around, and that kind of made me a little interested and stuff like that. And Gulak wasn't released. Technically, they just never really renewed his contract, which is a cop out. It was a cop out. It was like, all right, we have to, since Ronda Rousey has a lot of like pull in terms of like the UFC, and she used to wrestle in the WWE, although she buried the WWE, 1,010% called it basically a shiitake mushrooms, promotion or whatever, and it just wasn't good. Just wasn't good. Drew Gulak wasn't re-signed. The No Quarter Catch Group probably got it the worst. But I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see where Drew Gulak ends up. Honestly, if he winds up on AEW, that would be good for AEW. I gotta be honest. I do watch AEW, and like if Drew Gulak randomly pops up, I'm gonna be like, dude, that's cool, nice. Nice. Definitely gonna, definitely excited to see what he's gonna do in this wrestling promotion. So, definitely excited about that. So the NXT Heritage Cup, we saw Tony D'Angelo against Charlie Dempsey. Tony D'Angelo scored the first fall in the first round, pretty impressive. Then you saw Charlie Dempsey in round three, kind of, with that payoff pitch, able to kind of come back, make it 1-1. But ultimately, D'Angelo was too much for Charlie Dempsey, becoming the new WWE NXT Heritage Cup champion is the Don Tony D'Angelo, picking up the fall in the 5th round. So absolutely love it. It was a good NXT. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Next, we have our AEW Dynamite preview. We're going to talk all things AEW Dynamite. Things to expect from tonight's show. It's airing right now. Can't wait to watch it. Swear to you guys that I have not checked Instagram, Twitter/X, TikTok, or whatever, so I'm, heading into this as blind as you guys are. So, hey, stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy E here on the mic at the Wrestling Helm, to just basically, guys, give you all the cool wrestling factoids during the midweek. It is Wednesday. Wednesday could, it could be a drag. What? It's over. It's 8 p.m. Definitely hope you guys are getting, hope you guys are, ready to get some rest. Going to bed with full stomachs. Hope you guys had an amazing dinner, had a nice glass of wine, a cup of beer, or whatever. Whatever helps take the edge off. Because nowadays, in this, in this society, in this world, sometimes it's a little hard. So, yeah. So I'll, just gotta reflect on what we talked about. We talked about our WWE NXT review. We want to move on to our our AEW Dynamite preview. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air in front of millions of people, I ask you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net. Just put your questions up on top so you can tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you want to further elaborate on. Tell me if you think I'm an idiot. Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't hurt my feelings. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. Honestly, if it makes you happy, who knows? I'm just kidding. But we love positive reviews. Leave a positive review because it really does make a difference, guys. Like I said, always remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity all the way, 1,010%. So, yeah, don't be afraid to hit up the tips and donations link and tell me how you feel at the GSMC podcast.net. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Tonight we have AEW Dynamite. Excited to watch this Dynamite as soon as I'm done with this. We'll be sending, some YouTube shorts in terms of, what I'm seeing, what I'm analyzing. And also, I just want to, kind of spur a conversation with you guys. Like, don't be too shy. Don't be too shy. Comment on my shorts, comment on my videos, use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me your opinions, because ultimately this is our podcast. As a wrestling fan, in this wrestling sports culture, it's not the same as like your average, ordinary, sports podcast. Wrestling, we're family. We're family. So we all, we got to stay together in this crazy, in this crazy ass world. So, yeah. So AEW Dynamite is live tonight from the Angel Winds Arena in Everett, Washington. I think that's pretty cool. So just to kind of let's go ahead and start off first. We have Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge. He's gonna call out Malikai Black tonight for Double or Nothing. I think it's gonna be a great match. These guys are I don't want to say dark because I don't want to seem too cynical or pessimistic, but like I Adam Copeland, what he's doing at his young age, well, at his old age, and I think recently in social media he got a praise from Will Ospreay, but just kind of doing this, putting your body through this, all these hardcore matches, all these like, it's. I feel like AEW superstars, and I'm not trying to sing. I'm not trying to like sound like a jerk, but I feel like sometimes when you're outside of the WWE spectrum, you kind of do a little more to kind of get your name out there, help the promotion of the company. Definitely something that Adam Copeland is doing. He's working his arse off, man. He's definitely been one of the best superstars, one of the best wrestlers coming out of the WWE. It really, you can see his passion toward the company. You can see that he actually cares, through his quality matches, through what he's basically not afraid to do, put his life on the line, put his neck on the line, put his former, back injury. Like, dude, like this he goes balls to the wall. And that's something that Adam Copeland is, definitely respect. So he's going to call out Malikai Black for Double or Nothing. Should be pretty interesting. And then next we have Kazuchika Okada, the AEW Continental Champion, will be defending his title against Dak Harwood, for the championship. Should be pretty interesting to see what they do in terms of this. Kind of sucks, of course, Harwood out of FTW. This isn't gonna work, especially with the young guns and like, oh god, like these. Oh man, I'm already tired of this faction that they call Elite, and I know that's what they want. That's what they want. They're like, I want viewers to watch and just absolutely despise us. Despise us. It's working. It is working. So kudos to you in terms of that. But ultimately, I don't know. Getting a little agitated here. No, I'm just kidding. So it's going to be interesting to see, how that match plays out. But I'm pretty sure Okada is going to retain. And yeah, so next we're going to move on. We have Toni Storm versus Harley Cameron in a grudge match. Toni Storm, she's just been really, really, I don't know, like you can't really put your thumb on what the timeless Toni Storm is going to do next. Obviously, the AEW World Women's Champion has a lot to prove still. That's how she feels. Although she's, throughout her career, throughout everything, throughout her tenure in terms of AEW wrestling, I feel like she's done really, really well. I feel like she's like, who else do you have to prove to? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like whoever you step in the ring with, I think she gets the better of them. The mind games, the physicality, the technical wrestling. Toni Storm can do it all. She really can. So it's going to be interesting to see how this match rolls out. So next we have Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson versus Kyle Fletcher and Jeff Cobb. I love Jon Moxley, and I love Bryan Danielson as well. So this match is going to be pretty badass. Can't wait to see what they do, how they kind of, because I'm pretty sure Danielson and Moxley's going to pick up the victory, but Fletcher and Cobb, they're pretty scrappy. It's you can't really put your thumb on those young guys. I feel like if AEW is trying to push something that's going to head toward Double or Nothing, perhaps maybe it happens tonight. Obviously, Jon Moxley needs a challenger for his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So I can see something happening, or maybe John Moxley and Bryan and Danielson win tonight, and then Daniel like grabs the mic and he's like, "Hey, you know what, John? I noticed you don't have an opponent at Double or Nothing. I would love to fight you at Double," and then like that's how that all starts out, which would be pretty damn cool. Honestly, I would honestly love that. So, next we have Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Mone in this contract signing for Double or Nothing. Willow of Nightingale absolutely 110% impressed the heck out of me. Last week, the way she cut her promo for Mercedes Mone hitting it to Double or Nothing, it was cool. It was really really cool because you see this nice, this very like colorful, this very cut. Like I said before, it kind of reminds me of like Bailey when she was doing the Huggers thing, and like I don't know, you just can't help but to root for this girl. I don't know if that's what kind of got me on the bandwagon and stuff like that, because it's to the point right now whenever Mercedes Moné kind of opens up her mouth, I'm like, oh great, here we go again. Just kidding. No, but I'm like I love Mercedes Moné, and obviously money does talk and stuff like that, but like she just hasn't really been doing that great. And of course, this is just my opinion. And I don't, if any of you guys pay attention to other sports, you kind of realize the moment the athlete gets the bag, and Mercedes Moné got a huge bag, definitely one of the highest paid women's wrestlers in the whole entire world historically. And like, I don't know, maybe she's getting too comfortable to the point where she's not putting quality promos. And maybe it could be AEW, where they're like, all right, you're going to come into the business, but you're not going to wrestle at big business. You're also not going to wrestle at Dynasty. We're going to push you all the way over to Double or Nothing. So they're basically like, hey, you got to just keep rambling on with words, creating, this and that and the other, blah, 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 blah. So it could partially be something in terms of like AEW creative writing, but I'm kind of rooting for Willow. Honestly, I am rooting for Willow. I can't even say like, I'm partially, rooting for Nightingale, but because I feel like she deserves it more, if that makes any sense. If Mercedes Moné wins the TBS championship at Double or Nothing, I gotta be honest, it's gonna kind of rub me the wrong way. And if you agree with me, hit it up on the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net, leave a chat. But I don't know, it's to the point where I feel like she doesn't deserve to win. I feel like she doesn't deserve to win. I feel like she hasn't really put in the time yet. Obviously, backstage, yeah. In terms of, promos to kind of hook viewers, yeah, because people like seeing Sasha Banks. People like seeing Mercedes Moné, Moné talks. So, maybe it could be possibly like, kind of like, what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say? Kind of like, I don't want to say using her for like spotlight or for attention from the viewers and stuff like that, because that sounds awful. They're just using Mercedes. I'm just kidding. No, no. I think AEW. Hopefully, they know what they're doing, because it's to the point where their backs are against the wall. They better figure this, shiitake mushroom stuff out, and then yeah, go along with that. So definitely, excited to see that face to face thing tonight. So yeah. Next we have Matthew and Nicholas Jackson of the Young Bucks against Matt Seidel and Christopher Daniels for the AEW World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match. This match is going to be probably, you're going to see Seidel and you're going to see Christopher Daniels kind of push the Young Bucks to their limit, but ultimately Okada or maybe Jack Perry gets involved and kind of creating for like a main match at Double or Nothing, because it's when you go Double or Nothing. If you understand what this saying even means, like, let's just say you lose a bet. You lose a bet, and to redeem yourself, so essentially you lost the first time. You lost, you're a loser. So then you're like, all right, you know what? Double or Nothing. Like, so basically, like, you don't have to pay, but guess what? If you lose this bet, you're gonna have to pay double. So in the spirit of how the pay-per-view is written out, I feel, kind of like Willow Nightingale against Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné. It's, kind of like a rematch of their match in New Japan Professional Wrestling for the Women's Strong Championship, where, Mercedes Moné was injured. She, destroyed her right foot. was told she could never wrestle again, came back, and then, that's what's happening right now. And kind of like Kazuchika Okada and Dax Harwood, you had that match where you kind of had the Elite against FTW in that ladder match, but ultimately it was the Elite. It was the Elite against FTR. So, definitely. And then now you kind of have this tag team match where I feel like Daniels and Seidel will come close to winning this match, causing the Young Bucks to cheat. And then, I feel like, Seidel and Daniels will probably try to get a rematch at Double or Nothing. Of course, this is my, I haven't watched a single shred of it. So, don't assume that I'm like, oh, this guy already knows what's going on. No, dude, honestly, I don't. I honestly don't. So, I definitely think that's going to happen. And yeah, to kind of finish us off here, we have Swerve Strickland versus Brian Cage. Brian Cage, one of the leaguer of the Mogul Embassy, who turned their back on Swerve Strickland last AEW Dynamite. So I hope Brian Cage, hope he gets his, man. Hope you get what you deserve. That knife and Swerve Strickland's back really left a mark, bro. Really left a mark, and it was a BS move, bro. It was a BS move. So interested, and I'm totally interested to find out what Swerve does tonight to his former partner, the Mogul Embassy, member Brian Cage. So yeah. So hey guys, don't go anywhere. We're gonna move on to our next segment. We're talking about WWE PLEs. PLEs stand for premium live events, which is like basically pay-per-views and stuff like that. Is heading back to Sunday. So we'll dig on into that, as soon as we come back. So hey, stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. I'm your host E here with all your cool wrestling, all your cool wrestling factoids. Stick with me, your GSMC Wrestling Laureate, and we'll make you a wrestling professional by the end of the night. Guarantee it. So yeah, just kind of reflect on what we talked about here. We talked about our WWE NXT review, and we moved forward. We talked about AEW preview, Dynamite happening right now. Can't wait to watch it. And yeah, so without further ado, we're going to move on to our third segment. We're talking about our WWE PLEs heading for Sundays. Well, before we guys, we move on. We want to remind you guys to always use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Show me your questions. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. And, yeah, we can make this podcast something that's not totally mine, something that's totally ours. It's going to be amazing. Absolutely. 100%. So, yeah, let's go ahead and move on. So, according to the UFC President Dana White, WWE PLEs will eventually come back to Sundays. Which is, I'm not totally against it, but, what I am against, we'll get into it, right now. So we have Dana White was asked about his plans for the UFC and his Power Slap promotions. And he said, and I quote, excuse me, "You're going to see Friday Power Slap, Saturday UFC, and Sunday WWE." It's kind of crazy. He didn't mention SmackDown. He didn't mention Raw. Didn't really mention NXT. So already that quote kind of rubbed me the wrong way here. So, for decades, WWE events were solely placed on Sunday evenings, which I totally, definitely remind, I remember that. Every Sunday, turn on the WWE network, watch whatever pay-per-view they had on. I remember when I was younger and I couldn't afford pay-per-view. We kind of had this cable box that we put on a channel. We kind of sort of had cable, not really cable. And it was really fuzzy and you couldn't really make out who was wrestling, but you can kind of hear it. So ultimately that's kind of how I got my wrestling news, was from like bootleg cable. but no, it was pretty cool. I remember like my friends from elementary school, I think it was like fourth grade, they would come up to me and they'd be like, "Hey Eric, who won this and that?" Like, because this was before cell phones. This was before anything. You guys should feel happy. You guys should feel lucky with cell phones and stuff like that. You just like open up your phone, open Safari or Google, whatever you guys like to use, or Bing, and be like, what happened on SmackDown? What happened on Raw? What happened on the pay-per-view? Like, I didn't really have that luxury growing up. So, I remember having to do a a report on like I think it was a grizzly bear, and then I had to go to the library and look up like something called encyclopedias. But now you guys have Wikipedia. So, kind of crazy, obviously kind of, it's totally told my age here. I'm sorry you guys had to hear that. Sorry, but like, and maybe to get, young people to appreciate things a little more. So yeah, yeah. Like I said, for decades, WWE events was on, PLEs were on Sunday. The ultimate reason why the change came from WWE, was because of the WWE president Nick Khan ultimately said this, and I quote, that big sports events were better on Saturday. And that kind of, hinting at kind of heading towards Saturdays. They never really made the move yet. They would make the move, but the moment Nick Khan opened up his mouth and said this, he said, "We," and in terms of we, he meant the WWE, "think that the ticket sales reflective of that." Basically saying that you look at the ticket sales, you look at the TV ratings, and it was true. Moving it to Saturday nights was ultimately basically a win-win in terms of WWE. And I know it kind of, exemplified, like, it shows how much success they've had ever since they moved just one day over to Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to to try to find out how they come to like a kind of like an even keel, even an agreement kind of things in terms of UFC. Obviously, you don't have UFC every single Saturday, just as much as you don't have WWE every Saturday. Maybe perhaps they can, like, they can take turns, but also you got to think of the main events that have two nights. So are we going to miss that as WWE fans? It kind of would suck. Also, when they do have pay-per-views on Saturday and stuff like that. There's also, the NXT pay-per-views that come on. They're usually, in the morning on Saturday morning. So it's going to be interesting to find out what they do with that as well. So WWE moves. Like, so what does that mean? Now what? You're going to move something that basically is like working. WWE is absolutely super popular and they're live in 180 countries. Dana White, I'm sorry, my man, but I feel like WWE is more popular than the UFC. So why move something that works as opposed to something that not doesn't work, but just something that doesn't bring in that much revenue, you know, in terms of ticket sales, merchandise sales, TV ratings, television revenue, like advertisements and stuff like that. So it just kind of baffles me. I'm like, oh, moving it to Sundays. They were on Sundays before, and I think maybe that's kind of like the mindset of Dana White, because Dana White, he's been amazing for the UFC, definitely an amazing leader, a good guy. So I have no hate. I have no hate for Dana White. Absolutely love the fact that UFC and WWE came together, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna focus on one thing. I don't know. So does that mean that WWE, they have to compete against the NFL when the NFL starts? Sunday Night Football. You have Sunday Night Football streaming on Peacock, just like the wrestling events. Kind of a little strange. And that's just something that's really big. You have to kind of think about. If you're Dana White, you're like, all right, so now we have the less popular UFC, and I'm not saying less popular like they're like hurting or something like that, as opposed to WWE and professional wrestling. So we have the least popular UFC happening on Saturday night. Let's go and put our main money, like our money maker, against the NFL. The NFL, like, yeah, the NFL on Fox in the afternoon, Greg Olson or whatever. And I heard Tom Brady's actually going to, announce a couple of games too. So you're putting WWE against the NFL. The NFL is king. The NFL is loved by Americans all over the nation. Why not? Honestly, I'm a huge NFL fan. Love football to the max. There's actually a couple times where I remember this actually happening. Actually happening where WWE was on the WWE network, where I would have to bring in like it was a 30 no, it was a 32. It was a 40-inch TV that had like a fire stick, put it in another place so we can have Sunday Night Football happening and have the pay-per-view happening at the same time. But a lot of people probably wouldn't end up doing that. Probably would not. So, and it's gonna be interesting to kind of find out what happens with that. So I don't know. So you have Sunday Night Football, and you also have baseball. I know baseball is not as appealing to other audiences, but there's some people who love baseball. They love going to games. They love watching. There's the superstars that they watch from college baseball kind of grow up to be these phenoms. You have Sunday Night Baseball, but most importantly, and I think y'all are gonna laugh at me about this, but you kind of, you have baseball, you have football. But I think the one main thing that's gonna F this up for WWE in terms of ratings is basically your family Sunday fun day. And I know that sounds, crazy because like, oh, why don't your family just watch WWE? Have you ever like sat down on the couch and be like, all right, kids, guess what? We're not gonna watch Blippi, we're not gonna watch Bluey, we're not gonna watch anything in terms of dinosaurs, princesses, hobbling goblins, and whatever. We're gonna watch this thing called WWE. And you have to sit here, watch, and appreciate the sport. Now, see, that doesn't happen. That does not happen. Sunday Fun Day it's family fun. And I can prove it. Wrestling fans, the average wrestling fan is from 31 years old to 56 years old. So that's just basically screaming parents. Parents, young parents, 56 years old, maybe you're having a couple grandchildren. And obviously if it's a different situation, maybe a couple great grandchildren. I'm just kidding. No, like and then also like, and I know I'm not trying to shade religious or anything like that. You also have church in the mornings. Sometimes WWE have these events in Saudi Arabia, in Glasgow, Scotland, in France, and according to our time, it's in the morning. It's bright. It's like 10 a.m. in the morning. And you're like, oh shit, like I gotta go to church. And then sometimes like, there's nightly masses as well. There's nightly masses, there's nightly meet and greetings in terms of churches and stuff like that happen on Sunday nights, which is, obviously they're optional, but I'm not trying to, make you pick your faith against WWE, the NFL, or Sunday Night Baseball. But yeah, that makes also maybe you could have like a Sunday brunch with the family that might, end up, going off for that because you think about it. You think about it, I am confidently saying that most Americans probably don't really have a set weekend off. And I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I feel like mostly everybody works like they work on Saturday. I'm sorry, they really honestly do. And sometimes, like, if you have Saturday off or you work on Saturday, I did this. I'm going to use myself as an example. I worked on Saturdays. So every single time there was a pay per view on WWE on Saturday, I would tell my wife, I'd be like, all right, hey, don't watch a single shred of it. I turned off my Twitter/X, Instagram, and like, I didn't watch a single shred of anything. Got home, watched the wrestling thing, and it was like, it was new to me. It was new. Imagine if they go to Sundays, because Sundays I was like, all right, yeah, no, because most people, they have their party days. They kind of have their kind of time to yourself. They kind of have those hidden hobbies or those passions that they kind of save for Saturday nights. And then Sunday, it's like, all right, now I got to spend time with the family. And it's not like a burden, not at all, because you want to spend time with your wife. You want to spend time with your kids because, you want to see your family and barbecues and stuff like that. Like, not all the time where you're gonna have barbecues where you're gonna see wrestling on the TV too. I'm sorry, like that's just science. But yeah, like it's gonna be hard to put WWE back on Sundays. I feel like they've done such a great job on Saturdays. Obviously, the WWE president Nick Khan has exemplified that and kind of portrayed that. And in an example that he said, like it just works. Ticket sales are better, TV ratings are better. I don't know. I know. I know it might seem a little far fetched about the Sunday brunch and stuff. I know brunch is not a lot of people like going to brunch. I love brunch. Imagine going to a restaurant. You can have breakfast or lunch or even both. Sometimes you can have a breakfast burger with a mimosa if you're kind of into that kind of stuff. Not a lot, not a lot of people are into drinking during the day. But hey, y'all are missing out. No, I'm just kidding. No, definitely not the moral of the story today. So yeah, so we're kind of running out of time. Let's go and move right on. We have our WWE pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia. We're going to talk about just pay-per-views that has happened in the in the Middle East that in the history of WWE that's kind of shaped an opinion already. So hey, stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy E here on the mic. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about here. We talked about our WWE NXT review. We talked about our AEW Dynamite preview. We talked about WWE PLE's premium live events making their way back to Sunday. If it's a good idea, if it's a bad idea, historically speaking, recently in terms of Saturday, pay-per-views in terms of WWE, it's a huge hit. I don't think they should change it at all. Be kind of pissed off to find out that WrestleMania isn't going to have, night 1 and night 2 anymore. So, so let's go ahead and, move on. We had our WWE pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia. So, like I said before, in the spirit of this, I kind of thought about this. I was like, all right, so we have the King and Queen of the Ring tournament heading toward, Saudi Arabia, coming up rapidly, coming up pretty quick. So, let's go ahead and get started with this. So, the first ever Saudi Arabia pay-per-view that came about was the greatest Royal Rumble ever. The greatest Royal Rumble ever. Obviously, for me, I feel like it really wasn't, but, that's my opinion. You saw Braun Strowman win the Battle Royal, winning a trophy and a championship. Cool. Like, that's awesome. Like, what else is there? I don't know. I thought, definitely something that doesn't really make sense. You saw Brock Lesnar retaining his Universal Championship against Roman Reigns in a steel cage match. I remember that. Like, I think Roman speared Brock Lesnar through the cage, and I think since Brock Lesnar was technically out of the cage first, he retained. It was really dumb. It was really stupid. Definitely, definitely something that could have been better done. And you saw The Undertaker defeat Rusev in a casket match. And then you saw the opening match between Triple H and John Cena. You just know it's kind of like a pandering to the crowd pay-per-view when you have Triple H against John Cena in the very, very first match and not the main event. So, definitely, obviously my opinion, you guys can disagree with me on this, but yeah. Next, we have Crown Jewel. Love this one. I absolutely love this. No, I really, honestly, it was terrible. Crown Jewel in 2018, the inaugural Crown Jewel premium live event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You saw AJ Styles defeat Samoa Joe to retain the WWE Championship. You saw Brock Lesnar defeat Braun Strowman to win the Universal Championship. And then you saw DX against Kane and The Undertaker, which was... God, it's just, you know what? Honestly, if this pay-per-view is on, what is this? Peacock. It's on Peacock. I want you guys to go ahead and watch this match tonight. You guys have homework tonight. Watch this match tonight and just basically tell me how awful it is. I'm just kidding. No, like it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Surrounding this event, there was plenty of controversy. The killing of Jamal Khashoggi, the accusation of Saudi Arabia being, for basically violating human rights and abusing people, and also leading the attribution to Yemen. So there was a lot of controversy. A lot of WWE definitely took a lot of heat, performing this pay-per-view. I don't, obviously, it's news, it's, allegations, it's, this and that and the other. But it was also part of the wrestlers too. Part of the wrestlers, you had Daniel Bryan, you had Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, you had John Cena that absolutely refused to wrestle in Saudi Arabia because of these allegations. So obviously something that, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad when it started. Um, like I said, many of the top superstars did not want to do it. It had a lot of negative reviews, and honestly, it was pretty bad. You have the Universal Championship, which was a lux. You have the World Cup final, which was absolutely predictable and terrible and poorly presented, poorly administrated, and poorly, kind of delegated at the end, where oh, guess what? You won a trophy? Yeah! And then most importantly, it was the Brothers of Destruction against D-Generation X, which was terrible, man. Oh God, it kind of, for me, watching that match, it kind of made me a little sad. It honestly, really honestly made me a little sad because I was like, all right, great. Like I'm watching my childhood heroes come out here as old guys, and they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that. They don't have to do that. They just basically came out here to kind of entertain these WWE fans from Saudi Arabia, which is cool. 1,010%, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. But it's so fun where sometimes it just seemed forced. It just seemed didn't seem relevant. Didn't really seem natural. And you saw botched moves happen here. I thought somebody was gonna break a neck or a hip. So definitely one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, next we have Super Showdown. Super Showdown in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. You saw The Undertaker defeating Goldberg. You saw Seth Rollins defeating Baron Corbin for the Universal Championship. You saw Shane McMahon defeat Roman Reigns. Randy Orton defeated Triple H, which was Triple H's last match because of a cardiac event that happened in his life that he was like, you know what, I got to take a step away from wrestling, guys. I'm out. Next, we saw WWE largest battle royal, 51 people. It was won by Mansoor, obviously a descent from Saudi Arabia. And you saw there was supposed to be a women's match that would have happened on this Super Showdown. But due to limited women's rights in Saudi Arabia, all female wrestlers were banned from fighting in-ring competition. WWE wanted to add Alexa Bliss against Natalya, but the match was ultimately rejected by the Saudi Arabian government. Pretty crazy how, that all kind of, comes to, fruition. But yeah. So kind of moving on, I swear to God, guys, it gets better. So we have Crown Jewel 2021. After the pandemic, you saw the first, Saudi Arabia pay-per-view happening. Definitely, you saw the King of the Ring, the inaugural Queen of the Ring, happen here. So women were eventually able to wrestle. Roman Reigns defeated Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. You saw Becky defeat Sasha Banks and Belair to retain her WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. You saw Big E defeat Drew McIntyre to retain his WWE Championship. You also saw Selena Vega and Xavier Woods crowned as the King and Queen of the Ring. You saw Edge and Seth Rollins fighting in a Hell in a Cell match, and to be honest, it was good. This, it's getting slightly better. In 2021, they kind of made their way up. They kind of, put a lot of good matches, brought back the King and Queen of the Ring, and it was the inaugural Queen of the Ring. So, it was getting better. Next, we have Crown Jewel 2022. We have Roman Reigns against the YouTube star Logan Paul versus the Undisputed Championship. It was a good match. It was actually a pretty good match. These guys pushed each other to the limits. Both very talented individuals, but Roman Reigns was able to come out the victor. Next, we have Braun Strowman defeating Almost Damage Control Dakota Kai, and Io Sky wins the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. And Bianca Belair defeated Bayley in the last women's standing match to retain her Raw Women's Championship. So women were eventually they were able to kind of, showcase their skills. They were able to, kind of show all right, we're badass too, basically. We're badass too. So, kind of capping off this last segment, we're viciously running out of time. It's not a champion. It's not a champions. Where Roman Reigns, in his 1000th day as undisputed champion, Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns fought Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to try to, reclaim the WWE Undisputed Tag Team titles that the Usos lost in WrestleMania 39. Wasn't able to do so. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens got the win. Seth Rollins defeated AJ Styles to become the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion. Next, you saw Brock Lesnar via submission defeat Cody Rhodes. And you saw Asuka defeating Bianca Belair, ending her title reign at 420 days. Pretty impressive, pretty awesome. Definitely, kind of saw some bad Saudi Arabia pay-per-views, but ultimately, I feel like WWE's making a step toward the right direction. Definitely under the Paul Levesque era. I feel like this. I'm going to go ahead and guarantee you that this is going to be the best WWE event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia ever. Ever. So yeah, I feel like that's coming. Kind of touch on it real quick before time runs out. I want to we have our wrestling top champion eliminator where I kind of compiled all the champions from AEW, New Japan for you guys will see. So hey, stay tuned. All right. Welcome back to GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We talked about our NXT review, AEW Dynamite preview. We talked about UFC putting WWE back into that Sunday, PLE spot, and then we also, recently talked about Saudi Arabia, their past historical WWE events, how it feels like it's been gradually getting better. I kind of showed examples from 6 events. I believe this is their 10th one. So but that's just my opinion. Absolutely just my opinion. But let's go ahead and move on. Time is flying by. Time flies when you are having fun. Definitely love having fun with you guys, my wrestling laureate, my laureates. I'm just kidding. No, was that lame? Was that weird? Is this awkward now? I'm just kidding. So let's go ahead and move on. So, guys, I recently got this picture from my, my CCO, my boss, the tribal chief, the main man from the GSMC podcast, Sports Podcasting Network. We have my man Andrew Tate. Sent me this in a message, and I was like, it kind of made me ponder. I kind of thought about it. I was like, dude, honestly, this was definitely thought-provoking. Definitely wasn't expecting this. And I'm supposed to be studying. I'm supposed to be studying for a chemistry final that I'm doing tomorrow. So this caught my eye more than that. And I'm like, but imagine these guys in a elimination. You have 8 guys just totally going at it, fighting. So I want you guys to look at the screen and be like, who do you think would probably be the best? Who do you think would be like around the middle? Who do you think would be the worst? So yeah, honestly, in an elimination match, starting from number 1, I'm gonna have to say the first one eliminated is oh man, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk because I'm like, oh no. I'm gonna say Moose. I love Moose. Watch him in TNA, watch highlights, and this guy's a physical specimen. But I feel like, and a lot of people will be like, oh, why didn't you pick EC3 and NWA? NWA is not as popular. If you saw this guy in WWE NXT and the way he made it up to the main card on Raw and SmackDown, where WWE creative didn't do right by him, basically treated him like kind of like crap. So honestly, I think the first he's the first one eliminated. We have 8 guys. These 8 guys represent their own wrestling organizations that have 20 to 60 wrestlers. So these are the top 8 guys. If getting eliminated first bothers you or offends you, that's sad. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So number 1, I got Moose gone. Definitely Moose gone. Next, I'm gonna have to say being eliminated is I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and say and I know I might get a lot of scrutiny for this. I'm going to say Damian Priest. I see Damian Priest leaving next, solely because like he recently become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, recently made it to the main card, the main event kind of status. He's still kind of proven himself to me. If that sounds wrong or weird, but like I feel like every single match he's won by cheating. So I just don't really see him, kind of just like Moose. Moose, he has his guys as well. So, the system helping him out in TNA. So obviously that kind of foreshadows of who's going to win. A guy who's, I stand low. So obviously, I'm going to say the next person to leave. I'm going to say Swerve Strickland. I love Swerve, definitely love Swerve, but he recently became, he defeated the Samoa submission machine. Very, very, very impressive. He started his wrestling career the late 2010s. Definitely nothing against Swerve. It's his house. He's ruling AEW right now. Obviously deserves all the accolades he's ever fought for, because this guy came from nothing. He came from nothing to something. This guy raps. This guy hosts a podcast, and he represents AEW as the World Heavyweight Champion. So, definitely, not bothered by, him being the number 6 guy out. So, next I have, I'm going to go ahead and say EC3. EC3 had a good run, but ultimately at number 5, he's gone. He's the next one that's going to be eliminated. His physicality is crazy. His talent is, immaculate. You can't match his talent. You can't match his intensity inside the ring. He's kind of like, oh man, I can't really compare like in terms of the NBA, but like when he gets on he's like one of those guys on the basketball courts. When he gets on the court, he turns into a whole different guy. Turns into like it's like to the point where like, dude, I don't even know you anymore. Like one of those things. But EC3, what he's doing in NWA, keeping them relevant. Him and Billy Corgan, I feel like they're doing their best to kind of keep NWA afloat. So definitely had to pay respects to that. Love EC3. He's gone at number 5. No, not number 5, because then that would make only 3 people left. So gone. Number 1, we have Moose, Damian Priest, Swerve Strickland, EC3. So at number 4, so we have 4 more left. To be honest, I think, and I'm gonna hate myself because I feel like this is WWE bias, because after he's gone, I feel like it's mostly WWE. I feel like at number 5, we're going to have Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe, definitely one of my most favorite wrestlers in terms of Ring of Honor, because this guy's willing to do whatever it takes to win. Kind of reminds me of like a Cactus Jack McFoley, do love mankind kind of feel, like where this guy, although he might not have too many, title runs and stuff like that, this guy's experience is just off the wall. It's through the roof, definitely. Like, if you want wrestling tips from somebody, out of everyone on this list, as prestigious as everyone is, I would choose Mark Briscoe in a heartbeat. I'd be like, sorry guys, this guy's gonna, show me things in wrestling that none of you guys, Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes, John Moxley, EC3, Swerve. I'm like, guys, like this guy, this guy knows how to go a little hardcore and go above and beyond to kind of, put on worthy matches, a little hardcore, a little Attitude Era-esque. So, at number 5, I have Jay Briscoe. So we got 3 left. We have Cody Rhodes, John Moxley, Nick Nemeth. Next one to go, going out in number 3, I have Nick Nemeth. I think Nick Nemeth is going to be, he's gone. He's gone. Sorry, guys. Love Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler from WWE fans. He just has the experience. He has the experience. He definitely won a bunch of titles in TNA, won a bunch of titles in WWE. And I just think that if WWE would have, treated him right, he's an amazing athlete. This guy, I often kind of compared him to Shawn Michaels, because he has that it boy. He has that, I'm just a sexy boy, sexy boy. Like he just has that it factor to him. I feel like he can piss people off. He can piss people off. He can make people love him. He's really, really good. He's the show off. And honestly, you got to respect Nick Nemeth and that he's all, after all he's been through. So now we have our final 2. We have Cody Rhodes against John Moxley. John Moxley against Cody Rhodes. Both these guys spent a lot of time in the independent wrestling circuit. Dean Ambrose. Love Dean Ambrose. Love Stardust. But I love Cody Rhodes. I love his story. I love the way he dethroned Roman Reigns after all that happened at WrestleMania 40. But I think the winner out of this is going to be John Moxley. I think John Moxley, He's kind of that mix between, he's that perfect mix in terms of AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, hardcore, New Japan Wrestling. And Cody, he's great, but he's not really like, if you put Cody Rhodes in a situation where he has to get bloody and brutally battered and a hardcore fist fight. Like Cody Rhodes, I don't know if this is just his on-screen persona, but he wears like a suit. He just looks fresh all the time. He just, I'm like, dude, that guy can't take a barbed wire steel chair to the face. And Jon Moxley could. Dean Ambrose could absolutely 110% could. He cuts good promos. So does Cody. But I think maybe Cody's a little more like kind of too white collar for me. I like, Dean Ambrose. I like Jon Moxley. So out of all these champions, my top champion eliminator, the ultimate champions of champions is going to be my man, Jon Moxley. So, yeah, guys, that was my list. So I know you guys probably thought a lot more different. I respect that. I love that, actually. I love that a lot better than you guys agreeing with me. Our conversation goes a lot better where it's like, oh, I think this and that and the other. And imagine some guy be like, yeah, I agree. And you're like, and some guy's like, dude, you're full of like that's it just sparks a lot more banter. And that in terms of the wrestling world, I feel like that's pretty awesome. In terms of the sports entertainment industry, I feel like it's pivotal to kind of have that, all the time. So, yeah, hope you guys liked my show. Hope you guys enjoyed everything I talked about today. We went a little overtime. We have Emran's show, the GSMC Soccer Podcast, starting in about 20 minutes. So I'll let you guys go right now. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show and leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We love peace, love, and positivity all the way. It really does make a difference. It really honestly does make a difference. Please, we invite you guys to like us on and also follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. If I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, NBA season is absolutely heating up. We have my boy Nelson on basketball. We have Sam on baseball. Baseball, it's a grueling 162 game season. But if you're looking for, highlights, looking for what kind of games to watch, what teams that are, kind of shifting focus in this young season, you want to watch my man Sam. We have women's sports. We also have the Andrew Tate show. We just have sports and sports and sports. So, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we're kind of like the bloodline of sports podcasting. Guys who have passion, guys who have absolute strive to want to, give the audience the best sports content in the world. And guess what, guys? You don't have to pay for a subscription. We're absolutely 110% free on our YouTube network, Sports Podcasting Network. And we have our, the GSMC, Podcasting Network you can find us on as well. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning into my show. I love you all. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So, hey, have a wonderful night and sleep well. See you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee